when he committed a act of political terrorism against Charlie Kirk. Now, up to this point, we knew that Tyler Robinson was a far left-wing activist. This, according to The Guardian. Suspect's high
Did
school
you see
friend says that
the video
Robinson
of
was a
TMZ
left.
laughing?
Yeah, and then they tried to play it off.
Dude, like all these people, man, they're fucking demonic.
They tried to play it off like they were watching a fucking car chase. Like, why are you gonna be cheering for a car chase? I don't know. Like, if they stop the guy, like if they hit him, they're not gonna start clap. Like, I don't know, it's just weird.
I'm not surprised though. Like TMZ is basically like an extension of Hollywood.
Update here. We've now essentially got the confirmation. Initially, we heard it straight from the family that Tyler Robinson hated Charlie Kirk. He thought that he was spreading and spewing hate, and that alone is enough to point in the left's direction.
It's crazy how this one like event just like uncovered so much bullshit going on that everybody already knew, but it's just like it's fucking right in our face now. Absolutely insane. How long are you gonna be on?
Don't know why.
Oh, because I'm probably gonna get on when I get home.
Yeah, I'm not doing anything until dinner, so.
Are you cooking tonight, or?
Probably going out.
Anti-fascist engravings on his bullets, and the picture I think was already clear, but now I think it's undeniable. We've got 3 separate sources, 3 pieces of very strong evidence, all saying the same thing, and the latest is even more damning. Take a look at this report.
You know,
high school friend of
he never went to college or anything. Like he was completely 100% self-taught.
Who?
Charlie.
Yeah, I know.
That's fucking impressive, man.
Yeah. Well, one thing he said, at least nowadays, for a lot of different things, college is a scam, because you go in, you don't really learn
it's useless.
much.
Yeah. I wish I never went to university or college, to be honest.
And even from like the age of 18, like I was crazy productive with that stuff.
Yeah, started a fucking company. People say that he like single-handedly, well, not only him, but
One
like,
of
he
the
definitely
largest.
helped Trump get elected.
Yeah. Well, because he got the youth vote out, right?
Yeah.
And one of the biggest supporters of that side now, and like the very political people, are young people, because they're growing up and realizing that they can't fucking do shit.
Better late than never. Anybody can fucking learn and change their ways. Because that's a good thing.
Speaking in a phone interview on Friday, flat out said that, quote, his family was very hard Republican and that he was the only leftist in his family. That's the quote. And again, this is not some random claim. This is one of his high school friends who knew him personally. And that same
It's pretty hot today, though.
Well, let's see.
Is he on in your house?
No.
Okay, I guess not.
It doesn't matter what the temperature is in the house because of the time of year. Because September is supposed to be cooler than the other summer months, they don't turn it on. To me, that doesn't make sense.
individual then added that around sophomore year, Robinson became more extreme and he was always ranting and arguing about his political views, and that, quote, he was pretty left on everything. So at this point, it's hard.
My legs aren't too sore anymore.
Yeah, no, me neither. Usually by Friday, though.
Big contrast. How I felt last night.
Well, yeah, the first time's always the worst.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did more this time, like just in terms of like weight and volume. I end up recovering faster than last time. Fucking.
When you're using the rail system, can you stop the cart before it hits the redstone? Like, can you use your joystick or whatever to slow it down, or no?
I know you can like move it forward like slightly, but whenever I try to like slow it down, it works.
Confirmed this wasn't some confused kid. He certainly wasn't MAGA. No, Tyler Robinson went down the radical leftist pipeline we've been talking about. He fell for all their extreme rhetoric, he was radicalized, he became obsessed, and then he became violent. And so again, sitting here, you know, looking at my watch, tapping my foot, just waiting for the left to acknowledge reality and maybe for a second look inward. Obviously never gonna happen. You should see how disgusting they're acting online. And well, I guess I gave it away there. Now, despite the mountain of evidence, the stacking evidence, the left is once again lying through their teeth. First, as I wake up this morning, I see a bunch of people spreading this digitally altered photo of Robinson in a Trump t-shirt. This photo was cooked up by a leftist propaganda account, disguising itself as Anonymous, the hacker group from the Octopus.
You know they had to Photoshop him in another t-shirt?
What?
Like the shooter, they photoshopped a Trump shirt onto one of his pictures.
Oh my god, seriously?
Yeah.
Who's they? Like which news outlet? CNN?
No, it was it was circulating on Twitter.
Oh.
I don't know if news picked it up, because I haven't really watched the news like that, but
Literally makes zero fucking sense. But yeah, I guess people will do anything, right? Try to not make themselves look bad.
Occupy Wall Street era, we got this one leftist clown pretending to be socially aware hackers, but it's just nothing but disgusting engagement farming and attacks against right-wingers. And while I'll put the photos side to side, this is the photo that went viral, and this is the real photo. The individual has since deleted.
oh wow. So I don't know if the person who posted it made it, but apparently they then posted the original version after they got a bunch of fucking flack.
Good.
Yeah, it was one of the I think it's like one of those Blue Anon accounts.
Yeah, I don't know, like, what needs to be done, but yeah, something has to change, man, because this is, like, ridiculous.
With what?
We're gonna turn into Soviet Russia, man.
Oh,
we're,
yeah.
We're gonna turn into the Soviet Union.
But dude, that's I don't even know, like, I've heard so many different things of comebacks when you say something like that I don't even know what they say anymore. Like, it's so crazy. Like, tell me how the guy that is saying words that aren't even that controversial gets killed and he's the bad guy. Tell me in what world that makes sense. Like, in the 20th century,
clown world.
In the 20th century, what group were the ones getting attempted assassinations and all that onto them when they were actually the bad guys? Usually it was the bad guys assassinating the other people, and that's what made them bad.
They started taking out the shit from universities. So that's where the majority of the shit comes from. A bunch of fucking The kid was, what, 22, 21 years old?
22 to 25. Or 22 or 25, I can't remember which one.
Okay, so he's in his 20s, right? He's a college-age youth. Right? And yeah, I don't know if he went to that university or it was another location, but yeah, man, like, I think he started, like, getting radicalized as soon as, like, he was, like, 18 and above. It's like, what?
I think he started getting radicalized even before that. 2017, he was like on that journey in 2016, 2017.
Northbound towards Steels.
And obviously with that picture of the shirt, the fake one is going to get more traction than the real one. So the correction within the news isn't going to get any views.
Next stop, the Grand, coming to the North Station. Next stop, that's a big thing.
Post, but only after getting millions upon millions of impressions and causing untold amount of damage. But if that wasn't bad enough, then comes lie number 2 again. They'd rather engage in disgusting, despicable propaganda than ever admit the truth and take accountability. Here comes the second theory, which they're claiming as an absolute fact, by the way, that apparently Tyler Robinson wasn't a leftist. No, he was a groyper. If you simply search Tyler X Groyper on X right now, you'll see hundreds upon hundreds, thousands of posts of leftists now demanding that conservatives apologize to them. Actually, he was your boy. First of all, Groypers are not MAGA. And secondly, the evidence is incredibly weak. It makes no sense. They don't have testimonies from personal friends or family or what he wrote on his own damn bullets. No, their evidence is a photo posted in 2018 of him wearing an Adidas tracksuit and doing the Slavic crouch or whatever you call it, the Slavic squat, which nowadays is attributed to the Pepe the Frog meme, and apparently that's definitive proof that he was a Groyper. Give me a frickin' break. Not to mention, this was in 2018. I don't even think Groypers were a thing back then. Certainly wasn't a mainstream concept. Nick Fuentes didn't have that kind of reach back in 2018. In other words, it's not proof of anything except for the left's desperation to muddy the waters. They're so desperate to rewrite reality because obviously the truth isn't good for them. The truth exposes them. Tyler Robinson was one of theirs, a radical leftist, engraving anti-fascist slogans onto his bullets, telling his family that he hated Charlie Kirk and Charlie Kirk was spreading hate.
Did you see, I had a nail brush on top of the medicine cabinet. Have you seen it?
I don't even know what that is.
No.
Well, like a sander thing? Like a sander?
No. Like a small brush.
Yeah, no, I don't know what it looks like just to answer that.
A little bit ironic, and now confirmed by his own friends, he was a far leftist and, quote, left on every issue. And well, obviously, these leftists are not as stupid as, you might perceive them as based on their idiotic presence online. No, they know exactly what they're doing. This isn't incompetence. No, it's simply malicious partisanship. That's why they're spinning, lying, and fabricating photos, because they know they're complicit. Now they're trying to dump this kid at the feet of the right. But obviously it won't work, folks. The receipts are too strong. The evidence is too strong. Their pathetic little narrative attempt here on social media is collapsing. And the truth is, again, inescapable. This was a left-wing political attack. This was left-wing terrorism once again.
It's easy to talk about forgiveness and mercy. It's not your loss.
There's been a spate.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Well, I guess today it's less abundant hypocrisy of the left and just the general lack of humanity on the left. I wake up this morning tuning into the aftermath of Charlie Kirk's assassination, and you'd think in an ideal world this would be a moment of reckoning, a moment of kumbaya, the left and right finally coming together, but of course we aren't there yet, because if that's ever to happen, the left would have to finally stare into the mirror. They would have to finally admit to the monster that they have created. But no, of course we aren't there, no, not even close. Instead of accountability, instead of identifying the elephant in the room while their base celebrates violence all over social media, what do we get? We get something much more sinister. The talking points have already been handed out to the propaganda machine, to all these left-wing propagandists, to start justifying, to start with the false equivalencies, to start condemning President Trump for admitting the obvious that we have a left-wing domestic extremist problem. The talking points have already been disseminated, and what they're saying is frankly disgusting, dishonest. Let's take a look at this and let's debunk all the nonsense, shall we? Not to mention, let's really put a hyper focus on the truth. We've got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so take a look at these two posts side by side. We've got Harry Sisson and the main wonk. You'll notice something a little bit suspicious here. Not exactly surprising, considering we know these DNC influencers are all on the payroll. They're all part of these agencies and getting big donor bucks. Shill the same talking points, but take a look. They both start with, we have no suspect, no motive, no weapon, and then immediately pivot to demonizing President Trump or anybody who dares connect this to Democrat rhetoric, the radical left, or the Democrat Party. Are you freaking kidding me? These people are so transparently on the payroll, it's insulting. And I'm sitting here thinking, what a slap in the face. Charlie Kirk is dead. And the response is boilerplate, copy-paste disinformation meant to protect the Democrats from blame. And sure, some of these people have posted vague little condemnations. They're blanket, we oppose all political violence tweets. They're empty condolences. But it's all vapid PR and nothing more. None of them will ever actually admit the truth. That their rhetoric created this. Their endless demonization of the right has radicalized people. This talk that Trump is Hitler, Republicans are Nazis, the right is an existential threat to our humanity and democracy. We're falling into fascism and people must rise up. That's what built this moment. And a little bit of acknowledgement would be appreciated and go a long way. But it will never come, obviously, because these people are sick. No, instead what we get is a tidal wave of both sidesism. Actually, political violence happens on both sides, and right on cue in comes Bakari Sellers, hitting us with one of the most disgusting and dishonest tweets I've ever seen. And I'm sure you guys have seen this guy on CNN. He pretends to be a big-brained intellectual, but he's highly unimpressive. Well, he just took to social media to stand up for his party and to attack all the right-wingers who are telling the truth. And look what he says. He goes off listing every fake or distorted example that the Democrats continue to repeat. He starts off with the Gretchen Whitmer kidnap plot, then mentions January 6th, then talks about the pipe bombs, Nancy and Paul Pelosi, and then the murder of Melissa Hortman, her husband, and the shooting of a state senator in his life. And you know, a lot of people who don't have the ability to critically think are seeing this and then buying the narrative hook, line, and sinker, just falling for the leftist misinformation. But let's really quickly walk through it. Let's isolate the truth in all of these cases. The Gretchen Whitmer plot was actually an FBI entrapment plot. Every single person in that case got let off, and the entire case got dismissed. January 6th, sure, it was a protest that got a little bit out of control, but the only person that was murdered was Ashley Babbitt in cold blood. Not to mention, it was mostly peaceful and people were simply walking through the Capitol. It looked more like a field trip than the most violent day in American history, like Democrats pretended it was. Then we've got the pipe bombs. He claims that the pipe bomb was left at the DNC, but he conveniently admitted the fact that actually pipe bombs were left at the DNC and RNC, and not to mention, we don't know who did it, why they did it, and the bombs weren't even actually bombs, they were duds. They weren't even meant to explode. Then we've got the Paul Pelosi incident. He was attacked by a mentally ill nudist from San Francisco who had left-wing views and had some sort of schizophrenic paranoia about the elites. Definitely not a MAGA foot soldier. Then the Minnesota case, which is still murky. Sure, the guy was a registered Republican, but he also worked with Democrats. He knew Tim Walz personally and had worked with him. He knew the people that he killed. He was part of the Minnesota political scene. We don't know the motive. And not to mention, the victims in that case had actually just sided with Republicans on legislation. So if this was a right-wing attack, why would he target them? It could have been personal. We don't know what happened. But what we do know is that the left jumps at every opportunity to use these cases to shield their own violence. And what's so disgusting is as these leftists are distracting, as Bakari Sellers is lecturing us that Donald Trump is somehow a bad guy for telling the truth, what's happening behind the scenes? The entire radical left base online is cheering Charlie Kirk's assassination. They're laughing. They're hashtagging, quote, Trump next.
Yo, your dad wants a nail brush?
Oh, he apparently had one somewhere.
They're openly celebrating
But for
political
like
murder,
fingernails
just
or
like
like
they did
nail
with Luigi
nails?
Mangone, just like
fingernails,
they
I
did when
guess.
Steve Scalise was shot.
So what is it that you want to do?
Let me tell you, that mother, the one that was shot, the Scafey guy. I mean, that guy, what's his name, Shacey?
I really don't want you to deflect right now.
No, this mother, like, his whole job is, like, to get people, convince Republicans to kick people off health
Okay.
care.
We know all of
I hate
this.
this mother.
Of this.
I'm fucking glad he got shot.
We've laid in
I'm
our...
glad he got shot.
So then
Dude.
I'm not gonna say that in public.
You don't have
Well
to say
then
that
what are you
public.
saying it to us
Say
for?
something. Say something.
What are you telling us for?
Should you pay for burrito boys?
Why are you telling us, but
I'm
not
trying
telling anyone else?
What?
How much do you pay for burrito boys?
When I get my food, it's 26, not including a drink. But I get more than what most people would get from there. I get a naked burrito with extra fish and 2 boxes of fries. So it's a lot of food, and it's not a horrible price.
It's okay.
Just like they did when a Patriot Prayer member was executed on the streets of Portland, just like they did when Rand Paul was brutally assaulted. It's constant left-wing violence. You know, let's mention the attempted Trump assassinations from the 2024 election, or the attempted murder of Brett Kavanaugh. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, and that doesn't even include the general violence, the harassment, the assaults on university campuses, the assaults targeting people for simply wearing MAGA hats.
How can I be racist?
Let's be frickin' real for a second. Every conservative knows it. High-profile voices on the right can't even walk around without serious security. Because if they didn't have it, if they didn't plan for it, we'd probably see many more dead bodies. That's how bad it's gotten. Yet Democrats are still pretending this isn't their problem. It's happening on both sides. No, it's not. They're still lecturing us that actually it's Donald Trump's words, apparently, that are inciting violence. Complete insanity. They will never reckon with it. They'll never take ownership. Instead, they will continue to demonize the right, smear Trump, call us fascists, white supremacists, misogynists, racists,
you want to get on
threats to
Minecraft?
democracy. And what happens when you tell
Yeah, I'm
millions
on
of
it
people
now.
that their neighbors are literal Nazis, evil incarnates, existential threats to humanity? Well, eventually, some sicko will believe you. Eventually, some radical will pull the trigger. And that's where we are, and instead of taking accountability, we're watching the Democrats spin, contort themselves, twist themselves into a pretzel to distract, and frankly, I view it as a doubling down. Absolutely disgusting leftist response from top to bottom, from the sickos on TikTok celebrating the murder to the people who are pretending to have a heart. It's just absolutely despicable.
What will you do?
Anyways, that's what I got. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the
after
next
you
one.
learn how to play that song and you realize your soul is still empty?
Don't know. It's probably going to be a long time.
God, dude, I'm such a troll, dude. I love doing that to people.
I don't know if I'll ever get there because I'm not trying to give an excuse, but my fingertips are actually insanely fat for the strings.
Nice. Must be very convenient, dude.
Yeah.
Are you happy about that?
No, because I look at these YouTube videos where they say how to play guitar with fat fingers, and I look at the video, and his fingertips are like half the size of mine. It's like, dude, you don't have fat fingers. Literally the opposite.
Did you specifically type that into YouTube?
Yeah, dude, of course.
Oh, fuck, that's funny. Oh,
and everyone in the comments is like, "Oh, you don't have fat you don't have fat fingertips." Like, I guess the base of his finger might be fat, but it's like that doesn't matter. You're not playing with the base of your finger.
What do you think God is trying to tell you?
Don't know. I was born a couple centuries too late, I guess.
Hey man, you can play the drums. I think fat fingers are good for drums, aren't they?
Yeah, but I don't really want to play the drums.
Damn dog, you're not in the castle?
I'm mining.
Yeah, dog, we need gold, we need iron, we need coal, dog. Gotta get them for the rail system. Fuck.
You think I should enable cheats in this world, or should I just keep it?
What are the cheats though?
Well, I would be able to use commands so I could spawn TNT.
That's up to you, man.
With a rap sheet a mile long, stabbed a 23-year-old Ukrainian girl to death on a commuter train in Charlotte, North Carolina. Unfortunately, no one is any longer surprised by the incident or the circumstances surrounding it, because it's all so predictable, including the response of the mayor, who of course leapt into action
also alter the
demand
the
compassion
minecart
for
speed.
the stabbers. I'm Michael Knowles. This is the Michael Knowles Show.
That'd be pretty useful, 'cause
probably.
I think I've seen people do it.
Yeah, probably. I don't know if it would work for you, but I actually don't know. I haven't looked into that.
Welcome back to the show. I have the craziest surrogacy story for you. IVF surrogacy. This actually comes by way of Wired magazine. Not a particularly right-wing magazine. Pretty mainstream publication. This will spook you. This should shake you to your core. And if you're not already with it, I think it will probably change your views on surrogacy. We'll get to that momentarily. First, I want to tell you about Done. Go to donewithdebt.com. Are you drowning in credit card debt and loan debt? Well, you're not alone. Here's something most people don't know. September is the best time to negotiate with your lenders. Why September? Credit card companies and lenders are doing year-end accounting and desperately need to clear problem accounts from their books before audits begin. This creates a narrow window where they are far more willing to cut deals than any other time of the year. Done with Debt. Let's crack the code on this timing advantage. They know exactly which companies are most motivated to negotiate right now and use this insider knowledge to get results that you cannot achieve on your own. Best part? No bankruptcy, no loans, no credit damage. In fact, most clients end up with more money in their pocket within the first month because they're no longer drowning in minimum payments. This September window will not stay open forever. Once Q4 hits, lenders tighten up again and your leverage disappears. Get started now while you still have time. Go to donewithdebt.com, talk with one of their specialists for free. That is donewithdebt.com. Do not let debt ruin your life, keep you up at night. You can do something about it right now. Go to donewithdebt.com. You probably saw this story going viral over the weekend. 23-year-old girl, Ukrainian refugee, Irina Zarutska, was just riding a commuter rail in Charlotte, North Carolina. This isn't downtown Chicago. This isn't Detroit. This isn't Oakland. This is Charlotte. Charlotte's a perfectly nice place, isn't it supposed to be? She's just riding the commuter rail, minding her own business. Then a 34-year-old guy, DeCarlos something or other, walks up, sits behind her, then out of the blue, well, we have the footage. So she's sitting there scrolling. He just gets up. We're going to cut it, obviously, before. We're not actually going to show her being murdered. He just gets up out of nowhere, just stabs her in the neck. Then he walks around the train, dripping blood everywhere. And the other riders on the train, they clearly don't even know what's going on. I don't even think this was an example of cowardice. I think this is just they didn't know what was going on until they started to see the blood trailing behind him. Really, really horrifying. So we should pray for the woman and her family. And we should pray for our political order that we start to act in a normal and sane way again. We start to, I'm not even going to say recognize patterns of crime that because everyone recognizes them, that we start to do something about it again, the way that we used to. Here's a pattern. When a guy is arrested, what is that, 14 times? Is that 14 times I'm seeing? For what? For robbery and larceny, with robbery with a dangerous weapon, for communicating threats. This is all court records according to the New York Post. And on and on and on, going back to 2011, when a guy is just constantly a menace to society for 14 years, maybe you keep him out of society. That's what we used to do. We used to just execute criminals. After a while, we just kind of got sick of dealing with them and we would execute them. Then we more or less abolished capital punishment. We greatly reduced it, and we turned this to life sentences for serious crimes or for series of crimes. And then we let people out early, and now you have at least one major political party calling to abolish the police and empty the prisons and calling for compassion for the stabbers. This is what Mayor V. Lyles had to say. Mayor of Charlotte. She said, look, the transit system in Charlotte is, quote, by and large safe. Hey, listen, the silver lining here is most people don't get stabbed by random criminals on there. Most people don't. I mean, look, you're taking a little bit of a risk, but most people don't. And then she says this. We will never arrest our way out of issues such as homelessness and mental health. Mental health disease is just that. A disease like any other that needs to be treated with the same compassion, diligence, and commitment as cancer or heart disease. Good freaking grief, lady. We will never arrest our way out of issues such as homelessness and mental health. Said contra, yes you will. Yes you will. That's how you work your way out of that issue. When you have a bunch of crazy criminals stabbing people on the street, the way that you stop that problem is you take them all and you put them in a box. And then they don't stab you anymore because they're in a box. They're locked up. They can't do it. They don't have access to knives. At most, they're going to make a little prison shiv out of a piece of plastic and stab each other, which is bad enough, but they won't be stabbing us. That's how you fix the problem. You're never going to arrest your way out of crime. What's your
Okay, I'm back.
Because as far as that's the only way to fix crime. Families have other resources. They can raise their kids right. They can model good marriages. They can educate their kids. Pastors and priests can inculcate a moral education and encourage availing oneself of the sacraments and point one toward heaven. And those are resources available to priests and pastors. Psychologists can go through behavioral therapy and maybe even prescribe medicines. But in terms of politicians, that's what this mayor is. She's a politician. In terms of politicians, the only thing they can do to try to ameliorate crime is to arrest people. That's the resource available to them. That's their competency. But these people are incompetent. They refuse to do their job. And they say, well, there's nothing we can do. Okay, so her answer is, more young Ukrainian girls bad to get stabbed by the DeCarloses of the world. That's her answer.
Fuck.
Because, you see, mental health disease is just that. A disease like any other, like cancer or heart disease. Okay, so there are mental illnesses and diseases, but I don't think it's just that. You know, I don't think it's exactly like cancer or heart disease. This reminds me, the whole thing is a Norm Macdonald thing. The whole thing, it's funny because I was talking about Norm last week when I was on Tucker's show. And this is a Norm Macdonald thing. You know, my greatest fear, says Norm, is that a jihadi will blow up a dirty bomb, killing tens of millions of people, because then the blowback against peaceful Muslims would be just terrible. That's what she's saying. The worst part of this stabbing is how much prejudice this is going to bring upon the stabbers. There was another Norm bit where he said, you know, my uncle, he's got alcoholism, which is a disease. And it's like, yeah, it's a disease. I grant it's a disease. But if you're going to have a disease, I think that's the best one. Because unlike cancer or heart disease that cause you to go through all these horrible therapies and debilitate you and cause you to the disease of alcoholism causes you to be happy and have sex with people. You know, not to minimize it, but it's not just a disease, okay? When a vagrant criminal on the street goes about stabbing people, yes, he might have some pre-existing medical issues. He's also probably engaged in a fair amount of vice over his life. He's probably also been pretty irresponsible. He's probably developed habits through the use of his even weakened free will that have made the condition worse. Generally, he's not totally guiltless, and our society's not guiltless. The mayor and the DAs and the judges who won't lock these people up, they have blood on their hands. Simple as. Simple as that. Your one job is to establish order and protect people's rights. That's a politician's job. Politician's job, everyone wants to do someone else's job.
The fuck you get up there?
Everyone, no matter what your job is, you always want to do something else.
What?
This is true. You know, the actor always wants to be a musician.
What are you talking about?
The accountant always wants to
You're
be
on the surface?
No.
And these politicians, I don't know what they want to be. These
How the fuck you get
politicians
up
want
there?
to be self-help gurus. These politicians want to be pastors.
I don't know. How'd you get down there?
No, you're a politician.
There's
Your
the
job
one
is
that
to
was already
arrest the
done.
bad guys and enforce the freaking law. But you won't do it. You won't do it because that involves moral clarity, it involves courage, it involves taking responsibility. They're not going to do any of that. So prepare for more stabbings in Charlotte. Sorry to say.
We've already
This
been
is
in
the
that
same energy.
mine, so I just wanted to try to
This
find a
kind
way
of,
out, but
want
I
somebody,
forgot
please think
to
about the stabbers. This is the
put
same energy
torches at the
seeing
entrance,
pushback
like
to President Trump's attack last week on the
always.
Venezuelan foreign terrorist organization Tren de Aragua drug boat. Remember that? There was a boat coming over from an officially designated foreign terrorist organization carrying fentanyl, which kills 75,000 Americans a year. Trump uses the military to blow up the boat. And what's the first reaction of the liberals? They say, won't somebody please think of the cartel member fentanyl dealers? We'll get to that in 1 second. Speaking of doses, though, I want to tell you about a dose of a good thing you could take. I want to tell you about Everyday Dose. Go to everydaydose.com/Knowles. If you feel like you keep juggling,
yeah, dude, these
expensive
people
supplements
had.
that are just getting more and more
We're
expensive
like,
to keep up
oh,
with, then
why do you
Everyday
have to?
Dose
Why do you have to
will be
blow
a
up the
lifesaver for you.
cartel boat? I'm like,
Everyday
dude,
Dose transforms
these people
your
are actually
coffee into a
insane.
powerhouse with vitamins, minerals, and amino acids, all in one affordable cup. Just 30 seconds to prepare, and you are getting your caffeine fix plus all the nutrients.
Like I want to rhetorically
Strap them
ask.
to a chair and show them all the videos.
Coffee, it's coffee plus benefits. They've infused
Yeah, I don't know. They'd probably be too freaked out at the actual video that they wouldn't even connect that to the people that actually got killed in the boat. That's how dumb I think they
That's
are.
fine. Hey, that's fine.
Genuinely.
It's light, smooth, it's gentle on sensitive stomachs, or you can be a Giga Chad like me. And you can choose Coffee Plus Bold, which is a rich, full-bodied medium roast with an extra energy kick. Both deliver the same functional benefits and undergo rigorous third-party testing to ensure you're getting the best quality. Your brain and your body will thank you. I love it. The team here loves it. Get 45% off your first subscription order of 30 servings of Coffee Plus or Bold Plus. You will also receive a starter kit with over $100 in free gifts, including a rechargeable frother and gunmetal serving spoon by going to everydaydose.com/Knowles. We're entering Knowles at checkout. You'll also get free gifts throughout the year. Everydaydose.com/Knowles, 45% off your first order. So Vice President J.D. Vance aptly posts on Twitter. He says, killing cartel members who poison our fellow citizens is the highest and best use of our military. Yup, totally true, spot on. Brian Krasenstein, a liberal account, responds, killing the citizens of another nation who are civilians without any due process is called...
Yeah, like this fucking literal faggot retard said, killing the citizens of or first JD Vance said, killing cartel members who poison your fellow citizens is the highest and best use of the military, which, unless there's like a war attacking your country, I would agree. And then some actual faggot retard said, killing the citizens of another nation who are civilians without any due process is called a war crime. Like, how does that even make sense? Like, if they're actively committing the crime, they actually don't require due process.
Yeah.
Like a school shooter, are you gonna say, "Oh, you can't kill him"? They need due process. No. Now, if you can catch him, sure, but that's the last thing on your mind is fucking due process for the person.
Have you seen those videos of them like finding them in the sub?
Yep. Like the narco sub?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the kind of a vehicle they want the cartel to be using for them to blow it up, as a fucking submarine. For some reason, not a boat. Just because it can go underwater means it's apparently worth being blown up.
Called a war crime. None of that is true, but the vice president doesn't even say that's not true, and here's why. His response actually, I think, has stronger energy to it. He says, I don't give an SHIT what you call.
Reclaim your love for food with Tums.
And I don't like going blue. I don't like, in public life, I don't like going blue. I don't like using naughty language. This is a family show. So, I wouldn't say it in those exact words, but that sentiment is 100% exactly right. This is the way to respond to the libs. We have power. We Republicans have power. Republicans haven't had power at other times in my life. What is different about this moment is Republicans are actually wielding the power. We're not afraid, based on some stupid ideology, a misbegotten conception of principles or whatever. We're not afraid to wield the power in
I'm gonna go on YouTube for a sec.
people have given us. And when the libs throw up all of these
Can you play YouTube in the background?
arguments against it, actually, you're
On
not
PS5?
allowed to kill terrorists who are trying to poison you. Actually,
not that I know of, no.
You know, that's a war crime. What do you know it isn't? What are you talking about? The proper response, the temptation for Republicans is going to be saying, no, actually, here is why, according to international law and according to U.S. Code, Section 18, verse 5, this is actually why it's not technically that. But I think JD's got the stronger energy here. He goes, I don't give an SHIT what you call it. We're doing it. Cry more over the Tren de Aragua Fent runners. You know, I'm on the side of the Fent victims. I'm on the side of their victims. You're on the side of the cartel criminals. Okay. Cry about it. That's fine. Go to their funerals down in Mexico or whatever. That's fine. Venezuela. I'm going to be here with my constituents, protecting my people, doing my job. Because I, at least, will do my job as a politician, even if you people don't. This is the right attitude. It's not just the left liberals, though, who are attacking JD for this response. This is where, you know, I love my libertarian friends. Some of my best friends are libertarians, but I'm not a libertarian. And this is where the libertarians, they start to lose me a little bit. Rand Paul, whom I like very, very much, but Rand Paul, he responds, he says this. JD, I don't give an SHIT Vance saying killing people he accuses of a crime is the highest and best use of the military. Did he ever read To Kill a Mockingbird? Did he ever wonder what might happen if the accused were immediately executed without trial or representation? What a despicable and thoughtless sentiment it is to glorify killing someone without a trial. That ain't it, man. You don't... When we're at war, we don't have jury trials before we kill the enemy. When we are executing terrorists, even if we're not in a full-on war, we're conducting military operations to kill terrorists who are killing our people and who are trying to kill our people. We don't give them jury trials. Al-Qaeda's not entitled to a jury trial. Tren de Aragua was not entitled to a jury trial. A uniformed combatant in a fully declared war as if this were the 19th century, those guys aren't entitled to jury trials either. Sometimes we just use force to rigorously defend our interests after having made reasoned arguments for doing so. After having held elections on these kinds of issues. People voted. The popular vote in November went to President Trump doing stuff like this. Securing our border, stopping the mass fentanyl poisoning. Just right there toward the top of the list of things people voted for. Do you think To Kill a Mockingbird is going to convince people otherwise? This is something else. Again, I don't want to beat up too much on Rand Paul because I really like Rand Paul. But this is something the libs do this too. They say, you know, this is just like Harry Potter. Huh, we need this. You need to watch Star Wars again or something. You know, they always use these like really popular children's books and movies to make their moral arguments. And To Kill a Mockingbird, it's fine. It's like a fine book to read in 6th grade. It ain't War and Peace. You know, it's not Anna Karenina. It's not I Promessi Sposi. It's a fine little book to read in 6th grade, I guess. It's okay. It's not the arbiter of morality or statecraft. Rand Paul is an intelligent guy. I don't think he's arguing that we need to put cartel members who smuggle fentanyl into the United States to kill 100,000 Americans per year, 75 to 100,000 Americans per year, that we need to give them all jury trials in Venezuela. He's not really arguing that, so that line doesn't make any sense. Glorifying killing someone without a trial? It's good to kill people without a trial sometimes. Sometimes. when they're trying to kill you, or in the case of Tren de Aragua, when they are killing you by the bushel basket every year. Yeah, I think it is good to kill those people with that. It's good to kill them as quickly as possible. That is, if that is not a just war, we talk a lot about just war in Ukraine, in Israel-Palestine. I've spoken ad nauseum about justice in going to war, justice in the conduct of wars. We've talked a lot about it. If stopping with lethal force a officially designated foreign terrorist organization that is killing 75,000 to 100,000 of their citizens per year, if that isn't a just war, I don't know what is. I don't know what is. Speaking of life and death, a really dumb article that I have to share with you. You might have seen it. It was making the rounds. This is for Wired. I have no financial stake in that. Also, it's 2025. If you don't know how to get around paywalls, you're not going to make it. I'll try to be brief on what the story says. So, to set the stage, do you know how much surrogacy is worth in America every year? Do you know how big the industry is? Look, I'm in the cigar industry, I'm in the media industry, you're in whatever industry you're in. The surrogacy industry, it's an industry first of all. It's not just people kind of helping each other out. It's to make life. It's not, it ain't a charity. It's a $5 billion a year industry. But whereas in my industry, I trade in cigars. I trade in ideas in my political media industry. You trade in whatever your industry is. You trade in construction. You trade in linens. You trade in whatever you work in. The surrogacy industry trades in babies, trades in human beings. That's the problem. It is supported by some of the biggest companies in the world. Over a dozen big tech companies subsidize surrogacy. They tell their women who are working for them, hey, yeah, put off having kids, put off getting married. Don't worry, we'll give you subsidies if you freeze your eggs, which is a very painful process, and then hire some Frankenstein doctor to make you a baby in a laboratory. Don't worry, we'll subsidize that down the line. Just keep working, don't leave the widget factory. It has created these new terms. We used to have these terms, mom and dad. You remember that? Now that's out. The industry gives us the terms intended parents. Those are the people who buy the babies at the baby store. They order the babies. And gestational carriers, which used to, those two things used to be synonymous. It was called mom. But the gestational carriers are the people who they rent out their wombs in a kind of hyper-capitalist dystopia to the intended parents who order the babies at the baby store. And as a consequence of IVF and surrogacy, practically speaking, almost always kill most of their kids. Now, even if you're okay in principle with IVF and surrogacy, just a reminder, this is just a little scientific data reminder, that it's much more dangerous compared to natural conception. Especially for the baby, but also for the what do they call it? Gestational carrier, the surrogate mother. Carrying a genetically unrelated baby more than triples the risk of severe and potentially deadly conditions. Not just for the baby, but also for the woman renting out the womb. So anyway, here's the story. Short version of the story. This yuppie rich couple, woman was a bit older than the man. She was a little too old to bear kids herself, or at least it would have been a little risky. So anyway, they go to the baby store. They order twiblings. Not twins, because it's really risky to implant twins in the surrogate, the gestational carrier. So they order twiblings, and they're going to hire one surrogate for one kid and one for another. What's a twibling? They're kind of genetically twins, but they'll be born a few weeks apart. They won't be born at exactly the same time because they have different surrogate forms. The surrogate who took on this contract was going to be given $45,000. Now, where she was located, it was actually illegal to rent your room and to trade in human beings. Right? So the way they get around the law is it was supposed to be a $45,000 reimbursement. So it's just if this is the way organized crime has gotten around laws for all of history, the way that even white-collar criminals have gotten around laws, it's a $45,000 reimbursement. So she rents out her room, reportedly, to pay off her student loans. Okay, it's getting darker and darker. Truly, I say two cheers for capitalism, but this is a capitalist dystopia. If women are now going to college merely to graduate saddled in debt that they're going to have to pay off for the rest of their lives, they can't get great jobs, so they're going to have to rent out their wombs in order to pay off the debt that they were saddled with to go to the college they didn't need. Then, the surrogate starts bleeding. I'm going to fast forward. She's got the baby implanted. She starts early bleeding. She goes to the emergency room. This is pretty scary. If you've ever been pregnant, you've heard a wife who's pregnant, it's pretty scary. What happens? The intended parent, the woman who rented her room, sent her a DoorDash gift card. If my wife got started bleeding during pregnancy, I'd rush her to the hospital, I'd be there taking care of her along with the nurses. But in this case, these two women have really no connection other than a commercial contract deal. So the woman starts bleeding, there's some risk to the child, there's some risk to her life, and the client sends her a DoorDash gift card. Go get yourself a Frappuccino. During the surrogacy, during the pregnancy, the surrogate gets a new job. The problem is the new insurance didn't cover surrogacy. The old insurance at her old job covered surrogacy. The new one does not. So what's going to happen? They have a contract. She's supposed to deliver this baby, but her new insurance won't cover it. In a normal situation, mom and dad just figure out a way to take care of it. Mom doesn't change her job until the baby is born, or dad gets another job. Or in this case, though, all they have is a commercial contract. Is the woman going to terminate the pregnancy? Now, does she have a right to terminate the pregnancy? Does she have a right over her own body? This is an important one. On December 15th, this is directly from the article, a day on which Bob, the woman who rented the womb, sent the surrogate more than 50 texts about the insurance. Smith, the surrogate, felt liquid between her legs. She was 26 weeks pregnant and afraid her water had broken. The emergency room sent her home telling her it wasn't amniotic fluid. She should have been relieved, but she soon had another text from Bai. One of Bai's lawyers wanted Smith to sign a few forms. Smith had already signed a power of attorney giving Bai and Val Iglesias, those are the intended parents, the ability to make decisions for Leon, the baby inside the womb, even though these very same liberals are telling us that babies inside the womb aren't really human beings, and they don't have any rights, and they certainly don't deserve any names. But now, when it's convenient for them, they say that actually they are human beings, and they do have names. And the same libs who tell us that conservatives who want to ban infanticide are trying to claim control of women's bodies. Now, in this case, these very same liberal type of people are claiming control over a woman's body because they signed a contract. But hold on, I thought slavery was abolished with the 13th Amendment, if not by the Emancipation Proclamation. Well, when it's convenient, we can own human beings. We can demand control over their bodies and over women's bodies, so long as there's a commercial contract. In fact, the article asks this: were they now asking for control over her body? Now, the insurance screws up the surrogacy, and now they're going to be on the hook. And so the intended parents who hired the baby company to rent out the womb of the woman, they say, all right, they're going to maybe sue the baby company, but they're going to wait for the baby to be delivered first, and they'll be on the hook for the expenses. Will they, or will the surrogate be on the hook for the expenses? In any case, finally this woman goes to the hospital. She's bleeding again, emergency C-section. Early, the baby had already died. Very sad, we can pray for the baby. The surrogate almost died too from placental rupture. Last thing I'll read you. Bai contacted the baby company, claiming that the surrogate had broken the contract by not informing her about the insurance change on time, not taking her vitamins. Did she take her vitamins on time? We don't know. And not alerting her to the C-section. Our contract specified a well baby that didn't die, she reminded. That's what she bought. She went to the baby store to buy a well baby that did not die. That's what she paid for. Okay, that's what she hired this slave woman for. And the slave woman didn't gestate the baby well, and the baby did die. And now this woman wants her money back. This woman wants justice. What is justice here? Bai, the mother, the intended mother, the baby purchaser, ordered the escrow to stop paying the surrogate for reimbursing her medical expenses. A few days later, this woman re-listened to the recording of the worst news of her life. She noticed a detail she'd missed. The surrogate had bled 10 days prior to Leon's death. No one had told her. Now she's ruining the surrogate's life. The surrogate had quit her job, moved back in with her previous baby daddy. It gets so... This is what happens when you hire a carpenter to build you new kitchen cabinets. Isn't this? If you've ever owned a home and you've hired someone to do some work on the home, this is, the work, it came in a little bit shoddy. It came in over budget, came in late. And then you start arguing with the carpentry company, the contracting company. And you say, hey, this isn't it. This isn't what I paid for. I want a reimbursement. I want my old cabinets back. This is what happens. You order a custom handbag. You order a custom handbag and it comes in the wrong color. Or it's a little bit damaged when it comes in. You say, well, I need my money back. I need you to make me a new handbag. But the thing is, babies aren't surrogate mothers, women with wombs, are not general contractors. We're talking about human beings, proper subjects with rights. That includes the surrogate who's doing a bad thing by renting a womb, but she's still a human being. She's still entitled to rights.
It'd be nice if I could melt down these golden legs.
In the surrogacy industry,
or golden armor things.
necessarily is treated as a commodity. He's bandied back and forth. Is sent to one woman and then another.
Oh, wait.
Created in a laboratory because people in a capitalist market, with hiring companies and bringing in people.
Oh, it
through
gives me a
voluntary
gold
exchange
nugget. What the fuck does that
are
do?
establishing the domination of technology over the origin and destiny of human life, contrary to human dignity, contrary to what is right.
Can you use gold nuggets for
Can't
anything?
do it. This is surrogacy. This is IVF. It is
I don't even know.
morally indefensible. There is no good version of it. It always does this. It's not always as sensationalist in how it goes wrong, but it always does these things. It always commoditizes human people and reduces natural, beautiful family relations to merely commercial, contractual endeavors that necessarily turn human beings into commodities to be traded. And we can't have it. It's wrong. Slavery is wrong. That's why we abolished it. Human smuggling is wrong. Human trafficking is wrong. Infanticide is... Here we go. The horrific murder of Irina Zarutska by the career criminal with main left-wing news outlet. What is your reaction to the career criminal who jumped up randomly and started stabbing this white woman in the throat, and then I think said something about got that white girl or got that white woman? I think we heard that was going around the internet. I think that's real. And then the people around her did absolutely nothing for a minute and a half, and then she died. What's your take on that? Hurt people, you know? That's just how it goes. Hurt people. Got it. Let's go back just a few years. When George Floyd died, when George Floyd resisted arrest, and then the police officer subdued him, and then he died during the arrest. The police officer was arrested. The police officer was put on trial. Here is what Van Jones had to say about the supposed perpetrator, actually the police officer in this case, Derek Chauvin. Here's what he had to say about him and all the police officers around him.
The idea that you could have a lynching, you could have an officer lynch a man, that was a lynching. Not 1 minute, not 2 minutes, not 3 minutes, 6, 7, 8 minutes, depriving someone of oxygen in a spectacle in front of the whole community. That was a lynching. You could have that lynching and have not just the officer do it, but to have 3 other police officers there and do nothing to intervene and in fact defend it. That you could then give 87th degree murder. I've never heard of 3rd degree murder. I'm an attorney. I'm in my 50s. I've never heard of 3rd degree murder. You can give a 3rd degree murder charge in that, not arrest the other officers, and we're all going to say thank you very much and go back to what we were doing. You actually incited people.
But what if he was hurting? Hold on, Van. Hold on. What if Derek Chauvin was hurting? The hurt people, you know? Come on, where's your sympathy? Aren't we're supposed to... Now, in that case, by the way, he calls it a lynching. Derek Chauvin was an officer of the law who tried to arrest George Floyd, who had just committed a crime, who had committed a lot of crimes in his life. And George Floyd just consistently resisted arrest the whole time and was super high on fentanyl. And the officer just subdued him, following a lot of ordinary police training. And Van Jones's response was, one, to say that it was murder, say it was a lynching. Not to have any sympathy for, who knows, Derek Chauvin might have stubbed his toe that morning. His dad might not have hugged him when he was a kid. Hurt people. Not only to go after him, but to demand that he be imprisoned, effectively for life, and to demand that all of the police officers who might have even been in his vicinity be punished. But then when it's a 14 prior arrest, career criminal, lunatic, vagrant, He stabs his poor
Dog,
little
feels
woman.
the hear.
Just out of the blue, you see. I'm not going to show
The
the pictures. I'm not
Giants,
going to show the
dog.
pictures. I'm not going to show the video. The look of horror.
Bro,
and
those
shock
AI
on her face
videos are
when this
fucking
happens.
hilarious.
He walks around and no one on the train does anything for a minute, minute and a half. Well, it's hurt people. Mind you, I'm not even just focusing on Van Jones's emotion or the lack of emotion of the mainstream left. Forget about their emotion. Their policies are responsible for this. The mainstream left, which has said we need to go soft on crime, which has said we need to be tough on cops, we need to punish cops for doing their job, which has said we need to abolish prisons, which has said we need to decriminalize deviant acts. Stabbed a poor Ukrainian refugee in the neck, and she bled out, more or less without any help. The story is not even that hurt people. The story is that a stabbing fuels MAGA's crime message. Stabbing fuels MAGA's crime message. This is a version of Republicans pounce. You know Republicans pounce. For the younger people in the audience not as familiar with this. Whenever there's a Republican scandal, the story is the Republican scandal. Whenever there's a Democrat scandal, the story is how Republicans are overreacting to the Democrat scandal. That's how it goes. So this is it. That's the story, right? The stabbing video fuels MAGA's crime message. What is MAGA's crime message? MAGA's crime message is we need to get tougher on crime, that the criminals are committing crimes. I guess that's the message, and we should stop that. Why is the video fueling MAGA's crime message? Is it because the video is revealing something about the reality of our criminal justice system, about our society? And that reality corresponds to the MAGA crime message? It's not even the worst headline in the world, because the headline basically says, hey, Republicans are right. Hey, evidence shows that what Republicans are saying is correct. We don't quite want to admit that, so we'll just say it's a highly selective video or something. This reality, very unfairly, is backing up what Trump and the Republicans are saying. Yeah, but the thing is, we know. We knew before the stabbing, before this awful stabbing, that was totally predictable and preventable. Not totally preventable, but pretty preventable. We knew that before. That's one of the reasons we voted for Trump. That's the thing. And now we're seeing more proof of that. Trump ran on fixing crime. Trump ran on law and order. That's what we voted for. We know that. So they're going to try to make it a black versus white issue. They're going to really try to lean into race on this. Don't forget, Trump won a greater percentage of the black male vote than any Republican in my lifetime. Let's not forget that Trump won 46% of Hispanics. Let's not forget that. There is certainly a racial aspect to this, because on the exceedingly rare occasion when a white person kills a black person, it becomes an international news story for like 18 months. And on the much more frequent occasion that it's a black person killing a white person, it's buried by the media if they can succeed in burying it. So there is a racial aspect to it. There's no question about it.
Was that granite?
But the left is going to try to use that to advance their race hustler message. I don't think anybody's having that anymore. Including black people, including Hispanic people, including everyone. Now, speaking of law enforcement and racial profiling, the Supreme Court reportedly is going to permit racial profiling. Sort of, kind of, in limited instances, but not quite really. What's the story? Supreme Court on Monday overturned a federal judge's order that said that federal agents in LA could not stop people and question them based on, in part, their race. And the Supreme Court overrules that. This is probably not the last word on this issue. It's going to be litigated more and more and more. But at least for now, the ICE agents are allowed to racially profile. What does that mean? What does that mean? What were the ICE agents doing in California? The ICE agents had been stopping people and briefly questioning them based on 1 to 4 factors, or a combination of all 4. Race and ethnicity, language, language spoken, and accent, location, where they were picked up, and type of work they were doing. And the left said that's completely unacceptable, that's illegal, undermines civil rights, unconstitutional. The federal agents have a job. The federal agents have this job to get rid of people who are not supposed to be here. Foreign nationals who are here illegally. And the left says you're not allowed to consider whether or not they're foreign. You're not allowed to consider whether or not they look foreign, whether or not they look like all the other foreigners, whether or not they sound foreign, they speak a foreign language, they go to the places that the foreign people go, and they do the kind of work that the foreign people do. You're not allowed to consider any of that. But otherwise, good luck. So you see, the argument that they're not allowed to profile based on language or looks or anything like that, location, the argument is just another way of saying you're not allowed to deport the foreigners. You won the popular vote in November based on a promise to deport the foreigners, the illegal alien foreigners. There are plenty of other foreigners who are here legally that we can't deport. But you won an election largely on that. The federal law says you're supposed to deport these illegal aliens, but we're not going to let you. You're not allowed to do that. Because the things that you would have to do that are illegal and unconstitutional and violate civil rights. Is that true? Can that be true? Can it be true that you're not allowed to profile when you're looking for criminals? That cannot possibly be true, because the entire job of law enforcement is to profile. The entire job of law enforcement is to distinguish between the criminals and the innocent. That's the job. That's what you're hired to do. And when you distinguish between people, you profile them. You look around, sometimes even without rational processing, just on gut reaction, instinct based on years of experience. You look around and you say, okay, that guy has all the features of criminals, and that person does not. And so I'm going to not just immediately throw that person in the clink, but I'm going to now go and question that person. Because he looks like the criminals, he talks like the criminals, he's doing the things the criminals do in the places that the criminals are. Hey, are you a criminal? Now, if the guy, you go up to the guy who looks like an illegal alien, face-tattooed Trende Aragua gangbanger, if a cop went up to that guy and said, hey, are you a Trende Aragua gangbanger? And the guy said, what are you talking about, sir? I don't understand what the problem is. I'm just here on my student visa from Oxford. Oh, you're wondering about the face tattoos? Yes, that was a crazy little night at the pub. The old bird and the baby, you know, the fella. Oh, okay, sorry, sir. I guess I was mistaken. Appearances can be deceiving sometimes, but usually they're not. Usually appearances are not deceiving. Usually appearances are helpful. They point us to things. Most of the time, the face tattooed, Venezuelan-looking guy with the thick accent who doesn't speak any English, who's hanging out in the trap house, usually that guy just is the illegal alien. You have to profile. To say stop profiling is to say stop enforcing the law. Stop being cops. To say stop profiling is to say, hey, Irina Zarutskas are going to multiply all over the country. There's going to be an Irina Zarutska in the news every single day, because we're going to let the criminals run roughshod over there. Do you want that? That's the alternative. It's that or profiling. What's your choice? I think most people have made their choice. And I think most people are right. Now, there's a lot more going on, specifically involving deportations, specifically involving law enforcement, all the way to President Trump declaring war on a major American city. First, though, I want to tell you about Boll and Branch. Go to bollandbranch.com/Knowles. Do you know that feeling?
Doesn't matter what their legal status is. If somebody is an asylum seeker, if somebody has a green card, if somebody is a U.S. citizen, if somebody lives in the community, I represent them. Constituent does not mean voter. I don't care if none of these individuals can vote for me. I don't give a I care about making sure that the United States government, with our taxpayer dollars, is treating human beings with dignity and respect.
Oh my goodness, we're not going to make it. We're not going to, if this is the caliber of legislator, we're not going to make it. First of all, this is a little bit separate. Whenever you're having a debate with your friends, or your coworkers, or your family, or if you're on TV, please, 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 don't pull the, actually, you know, Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines criminal as, actually, you know, it's so embarrassing what she just said. She said, you know, they were accusing me of prioritizing foreign criminals over my own constituents. So you know what I did? You know what I did? I Googled the word constituent. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my goodness. You're a member of Congress. You don't know the meaning of the word constituent. You don't know. We're not gonna make it. These people, this ain't the Continental Congress anymore, folks. These are not. I don't think that Yasmin Ansari could have written the Federalist Papers. I don't know that she has a decent grasp on the English language. She had to Google the word constituent. Constituents are, that's one of the like 5 words you need to know if you are a member of Congress. You need to know the word law. Do you know what law means? It's an ordinance of reason for the common good by him who has care of the community and promulgated. Do you know that one? Okay, well, that's a freebie for Yasmin Ansari. You need to know law. You need to know vote. Vote. You know vote. You know that's where you put the thing in the box. That's what you used to do. Now you just go into computers that might be able to be hacked. Anyway, that's a separate topic. And constituent. If you are a member of Congress, you need to know. Law. Do you know what law means? It's an ordinance of reason for the common good by him who has care of the community and promulgated. Do you know that one? Okay, well, that's a freebie for Yasmin Ansari. You need to know law. You need to know vote. Vote. You know vote. You know that's where you put the thing in the box. That's what you used to do. Now you just go into computers that might be able to be hacked. Anyway, that's a separate topic. And constituent. That's the people that you represent. When she goes, I Googled it. You're not going to believe what this means. No, I will believe it because I know what the word constituent means. No, you're not going to believe this, Michael. I Googled it and it says a member of a community. So there. Owned conservatives. It just means a member of a community. Yes. Follow-up question. What's the community? What's the community? She thinks this is an own. She thinks what's the community? Community refers to that which is in common, that which is public, what is the... Are the illegal aliens properly part of the community? If I fly, well, we're about to get to Israel blowing up Qatar. If I just flew into Qatar, I've been to Qatar. I was in the Doha airport for 9 hours one time. Am I part of the Qatari community? Well, I'm there for 9 hours. I was waiting for my next flight. I smoked a cigar in the airport. I had a glass of scotch. I ate some nice little Qatari food in the lounge. Did that make me part of the Qatari community, the Doha community? No. I was there. I was physically present there, but I was in no way part of their community. An illegal alien who comes here, an economic migrant, likely came here in recent years when Joe Biden threw open the doors and millions of illegal aliens came every year. That person might physically be in the Statens District. That person might even count for the purposes of the U.S. Census and congressional apportionment, which is not based on citizenship, but just based on warm bodies. But that person is not part of the community. That person doesn't share the legal responsibilities of being part of the community. That person, not all of them at least, that person does not share the language of the community, does not share the traditions of the community, does not respect the laws the community does. This person's not part of it. That's going to be my next movie. That can be my follow-up to Matt's movies. That'll be my big hit movie. What is a community? What is a community? She doesn't know that. We don't have a sense of that. And this is deeper than this woman, and it's deeper than even the Democrats. We don't understand what a community is. We don't really understand what common good is anymore. So the left ignores that and just pushes selfishness on the social front, largely through weird sex stuff and drugs and just disordered behaviors. But the right has pushed it a little bit too, just largely on the economic front, where we exalt the notion that greed is good and the virtue of selfishness, which is a book by Ayn Rand. Ayn Rand, who until recently was a popular writer, one of the favorites on the right, pushed this kind of hyper-individualist libertarian idea. So we're kind of both sides are guilty of it. But it's even it's worse. The fact that this woman doesn't know what constituent means is bad. The fact that she doesn't know what community means, and that none of us really knows what community means, even worse. Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines "we're cooked" as that video. Okay. Dearborn Heights, Michigan, speaking of lack of community and foreigners, is now proposing the first ever Arabic language police patch in the United States. The wait is nearly over. Tonight, we're celebrating it. But would have been president. His friends inspires confidence from the young voters that he was reaching. And he turned this into the biggest organization on the right. I don't even mean the biggest young voters organization. I mean the organization. Charlie was the nexus for all of us on the right. He became extraordinarily important to the Trump campaign. It is no exaggeration to say that President Trump in 2024 might very well not have been elected without Charlie Kirk. He just kept getting more and more responsibility. He founded Turning Point Action, which then went on to help to lead the Get Out the Vote efforts, and therefore to win the popular vote for a Republican for the first time in 20 years. He started the faith division. So even of TPUSA, you had the nonprofit, you had the political action, you had the faith division, you had women's leadership, you had all of these different divisions. In the meantime, while he's doing all of this stuff, in 18 founds the organization, 22 he's addressing the RNC, this rocket ship of influence in American politics, reshapes the government, as the vice president pointed out last night, helped staff the government. And as he's doing all of this, he published 5 books. He married his beautiful wife. He had 2 wonderful children, doing all of these things. A little bit that has not been discussed in his biography is how he grew his mind. Because he was so busy doing practical politics, and practical politicians usually aren't that smart. They don't really read books, and they just learn slogans, and that's it. And Charlie could have done that, you know, I mean, they would have had a great career doing that, but he wasn't content with that. He wanted to make up for the education that he did not have, 1, because he didn't go to college, and 2, because most people who do go to college these days don't get an education either. And he wanted that education. And I remember I was sitting with another friend of Charlie's, mutual friend of ours, and we were talking about how he should do one of these fellowship programs, you know, to read great philosophy and, you know, the great books and all of this. And some other people were saying, well, I don't know, is he really suited for that? And I said, yeah, of course he is. Because he's got this unbelievable political talent. He's got this unbelievable skill. He's a thing. And he recognizes that he doesn't have the most formal education, and he wants that too. And he just an absolute sponge of knowledge and skills. And so he did it. He did extraordinarily well. He took it very, very seriously. And in some ways it was annoying because he became harder to debate. He got incredibly skilled at debating and organizing and fundraising and staffing and communicating. Oh, he hosted that national 3-hour radio show in between all of the so that's another reason people believed in Charlie. That's another reason why anyone you talk to, his friends, his admirers who didn't know him personally, and his enemies alike, all said, man, you know, that guy's probably going to be president. But for all those people too, and especially for his friends, what impresses me about the guy, and what I think is more important than his political skills and accomplishments, even more important than his appearance, it's helpful to be tall. I mean, Charlie would joke with me. I'd say, look, he's like 6'5", slouching. And he would say, I said, Charlie, good, you know, you're just a giant. He said, well, yes, I'm descended from the Nephilim. I'm not descended from the fallen ones in the Old Testament. And we're all born fallen ones, you know, the fallen nature. And this really ties in with what's most impressive about the guy, because there are people in politics who, on the left and the right for that matter, who present one way and live another way. There are. And some of them are fine politically, and you can hit the campaign trail with them, and sometimes they say something interesting on TV. But the image they're presenting is not the same as the person they really are. With Charlie, he really was that guy. And I just think about the virtues, the 4 cardinal virtues, and then the 3 theological virtues. 4 cardinal virtues: prudence, temperance, justice, fortitude. Prudence is the paramount political virtue, and he had it in spades. He wasn't just some egghead ideologue. He was thinking, he was constantly growing, constantly thinking, constantly applying his deeply felt principles to changing political circumstances, taking in new information. A lot of people can't do that in politics or anywhere else. Prudence, which is how he was able to help build and help maintain this general coalition. This mass coalition with discordant parts that were actually able to get things done. The only other person who can really claim that is Trump himself. So he had that in spades. Temperance, I never saw the guy have a drink. He refused to have my cigars. He really was a teetotaler. He was very, very temperate. And you know, he was a young conservative. Young conservatives love whiskey and cigars and hanging out and stuff like. And Charlie did not do that stuff.
What the?
And I don't think there's anything.
One of the gypsies was in my boat. I said, "Get the fuck off my boat."
Shows you that he was determined not
and
to
he's no longer a
one
gypsy.
second or 1 ounce of energy that he had that could go toward achieving his purpose, his political purpose, for which we now know, in retrospect, he had so little time. 31 years, that's it. He did all of that in 31 years. I'm skipping over countless aspects of his resume, the things that he achieved. And he didn't, part of the reason he was able to achieve all that is he didn't go hang out. He didn't go have the 3rd drink, or the 1st drink for that matter. He didn't go stay out all night for this guy. He was just doing stuff all the time. Justice, I think, is clear. He was so fair.
God.
He's not underhanded in any way. Plenty of people in politics are. Even people on our side. He was not in any way. He was always fair. He was more than fair. Because an aspect of justice, at least an aspect of God's justice, is also mercy, which go hand in hand. And he was so gracious to his opponents. And this I'll get back to when we talk about the political import of Charlie's assassination. He gave his interlocutors, he gave his sparring partners on the left and the right. He also loved debating his friends and his allies, and he loved it. He loved the exchange of ideas. He even loved being proven wrong. He might not admit it in the moment, but he even loved that, because then he'd deepen his ideas, and he would get stronger, and he would become even more of a force. You know, he wasn't afraid of the truth. He wasn't afraid to be contradicted if what contradicted him led him even closer to the truth. A lot of people are. A lot of people don't want to grow. That's how he was able to grow. That's one of the reasons. Even beyond the cardinal virtues, the 3 virtues that are, I think, most clear from Charlie are the theological virtues, which are the more important ones: faith, hope, and charity. That guy believed what he said. I promise you. I don't think anyone doubts it. But if anyone who only had a passing acquaintance with Charlie on, Instagram Reels or something, if anyone doubts it, that guy believed his religion, and it was more important to him than any politics, any sharing stages with the president, anything else in the world. He had a firm hope in the resurrection, and he had immense charity for everyone around him, including and especially his opponents. And so we entrust Charlie to, as he confidently entrusted himself, to God's care, and that's all that we can really do about it. We pray for Charlie, and we do all of the things that are attendant to religion, which was the most important thing to him. There's one caveat to this. People are grieving. They're going to grieve in their own way. I don't tell people how to grieve, really. I know there is going to be a broader impulse in the public for happy, clappy talk. Oh, well, you know, he's with his savior today, and isn't that... We should be happy. You hear this sometimes at funerals. Funerals which are no longer even called funerals. They're sometimes called celebrations of life. You can't even admit that one is mourning at a funeral. You have to celebrate everything all the time. There is a deep religious truth as Christians to say, well, we entrust these souls to God's care. Friends of Christ, we entrust to Christ's care at the particular judgment and in heaven and in the life of the world to come. It's still sad. It's still really, really sad. Because death is still bad. Even in light of the resurrection. It is still a bad thing. It loses the sting. It loses a lot of the sting. But, you know, Jesus wept when his friend died, before he raised his friend from the dead. Death is a very bad, evil thing, and we can mourn and we can grieve because the Christian religion doesn't contradict reality. Plenty of religions do. The Christian religion does not say, don't believe your lying eyes. Oh no, don't... The thing you're feeling, that's just totally fake. Just ignore that. Just deny that. Just be happy clappy. No. The Christian religion tells you more about reality. The supernatural perfects nature. Grace perfects nature. It doesn't contradict it. So we should be sad. We should be sad. This is a very, very sad
Dog, you're going to drown.
It's good to mourn. It's good to be. It's good to recognize that this is really bad. And there are going to be other people, and I guess this gets us into a little bit of the political response to Charlie's murder. There are going to be people who say, well, they don't know what they've unleashed, you know. This, if you strike me down, I'll become 1,000,000 times more powerful, and this is where I'm going to get you, and this is the beginning of something much, much greater, and...
Whoa. What you do, dog?
But for the moment, let's just mourn.
Didn't know that would suck me down to the fucking bottom.
There's a deep, deep anger.
Wait, what the hell just happened?
I don't know what it's called, but I just hovered over it and it sucked
a
me
greater
down.
commitment to
What did?
shared purpose.
Those bubbles.
Yes, that's good, and we should double down on
Oh
that.
shit.
I was supposed to see Charlie 11 days from now. I owed him a text. I'm very bad at texting, and I owed him a text about something religious and something later down the road.
It's the Bermuda Triangle.
Not come fast because we imagine these futures for ourselves, even though we're not promised tomorrow. We imagine these futures, which is part of the sting of this kind of a grief. You say, no, but this was supposed to happen. No, we were supposed to do this. No, we were supposed to talk about this. No, he was supposed to be president. But we're not guaranteed a future. In any case, on our political import here and on the shared purpose politically, Charlie and I were supposed to do an event together on campus in 11 days in Minneapolis. I was on a show not long ago. We were talking about it. On this tour.
Are you swimming right now?
Obviously, I don't.
Yeah.
I have not spoken to TPUSA. We're letting them grieve, of course, and beyond personal messages and things like that. We're not. I don't know what's happening there. I'm sure they don't know what's happening there. This is a very live situation. So, you know, take everything with a grain of salt. From the 30,000-foot view, though, I know some people are talking about canceling events and not going to the campuses anymore or anything like that. I had already pared back a number of those events. I do not intend to cancel any events. I don't intend to cancel any of them. I'll be going out. If the events are to occur, if the doors are open, I will be doing that. I suspect a lot of other people on the right will be doing that too. We will not be cowed about this.
Wait, can you check how much stone is in the chest under the furnace now?
Like when these things are going to look like, but for now at least, while there's still so much confusion about what the future looks like, I will not be canceling a single event myself. But the events will... certain events will be canceled.
Not bad.
Just generally in politics, that's just how these things go. And I think, broadly speaking, the political import of Charlie's assassination, beyond the personal
Wait,
side,
you got a fucking white boat, dude?
these kinds of events are broadly over. You know, what did Charlie do? He did a lot. He did a million things. What was he best known for in this moment? What did he dominate in this moment? What did South Park feature him for as an amazing tribute for the end of his life, though none of us knew it would be the end of his life?
What's a conduit?
Apparently it allows you to breathe underwater if you're close to it.
He showed up to campuses and elsewhere and sat down and debated ideas graciously with people. And they killed him for it. Which means we're probably not going to have as much debate in the future. Because Charlie did that. He did that really, really well. He did it actually better than anybody, right?
It's interesting that we're on such an easy difficulty when we can actually get good shit.
And in a battle,
from
talking about
enemies,
physical battle or a battle of ideas, your opponents get a say too. He showed up, he wanted to debate ideas, and they killed him. Which means that we're probably not going to get as many debates in the future. If one side doesn't want to debate, we're probably not going to get as many debates in the future. I felt that the Harvard law professor, whom I greatly admire, Adrian Vermeule, had a good point yesterday on this, which is he said, you know, Charlie dedicated himself really in this beautiful way to the free exchange of ideas and the debates, and his enemies found that intolerable, and so they assassinated him. And there are two responses that one can have to that. The bad response is repaying violence with private violence. Not justified violence, which is self-defense, and there are other kinds of... But some of this talk of retribution, and, you know, you take one of ours and we'll take two of you, you know, that would be unjust. That's one response. The other response, however, is to say, okay, we like the free exchange of ideas. We endeavored to do that. We did it in as good faith as one could possibly do it. Charlie Kirk was literally a Boy Scout and was just so wonderful to his opponents. And now we need to restrain the people who are doing violence against us. Now
you gotta go into the bubbles again.
Then we need
to lose another boat.
Arrest more criminals. We need to be less permissive of social.
Oh, is that a ship down there?
And mental illness and threats of
Thank
violence and all of the things that we've just kind of let run amok. We need to be a little clearer about what is good and what is bad, what is true and what is false. We need to be a little clearer about that. We need to be a little less hands-off. We need to assert our moral vision, because if vigilantes on the left, and some people with state power on the left are asserting their moral vision, and in an unjust way, in a way that no one but the most despicable sorts of people would defend. Well, we need to do it in a just way, in accordance with the laws. That seems to be the inescapable political conclusion here. An event like this is massively significant.
Yo, take all of that iron, dude.
A lot of us have been kind of just walking around in a fog, and I was walking around at home, finally got home late last night, and I was talking to Elise about it, and at first I thought that the heaviness of it all was just because we were friends, Charlie and I. I thought it was largely just personal. I don't think it's that. Because, as we'll get to it momentarily, there were tributes from everybody. Every major all the presidents. And Yankee Stadium. Yankee Stadium was the one that really got me. Yankee Stadium had a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk before the game. Heads of government around the world were sending in eulogies and obituaries. tributes to him. This is politically very significant. And coincidentally, however it worked out, today's 9/11 is one of the most significant dates in American history. And there's an impulse when these significant events happen to just go on as if nothing happened, to go on as if nothing's changed. I just don't want to grapple with the fact that something's changed. Something's changed. Something has changed. And I know it's sad. It's another layer of sadness to add to this event. But for 10 years now, the right has endeavored in good faith to openly debate ideas. In the case of Charlie, just in a field, in the open, in a physical space that was totally open, with ideas that were totally open. We really, really tried that. And you killed him. You killed him for it. And now we got to do something else. Now we need to react to that. What you did is probably the end of that. As to the murderer, I'm not going to get into speculation. As of the beginning of this show today, I'm sure my team would have updated me if something had changed. The murderer was still on the loose. We don't know who it is. And I'm not going to speculate. The closest update we have, this is via Daily Wire, is that the FBI believes that it recovered the assassin's rifle. And the authorities recovered what they believed to be the weapon. This is according to Robert Bowles, the special agent in charge of the FBI's Salt Lake City field office. He says it was a high-powered bolt-action rifle recovered in a wooded area where the shooter had fled. The investigators are currently analyzing the rifle. The FBI is also analyzing a footprint, a palm print, and forearm prints. That's it. They don't have the guy. Now, Analysis of the analysis has led the Daily Wire to conclude that the suspected assassin appears to be college age. According to the Utah DPS Commissioner Bo Mason, the suspected assassin is a college age person. They said that they have good video footage of the assassin, but they are not releasing the footage to the public at this time. The quote is, "We are confident in our abilities to track that individual." So there are leads, and there are leads that have come from the leads, but there's no person yet. And I'm just not going to speculate on it. Charlie had enemies on the left, obviously. He should not have. He was basically the nicest one of us. He was really, really gracious to his opponents, and yet I won't even today get into the response of people on the left, on social media and on the news networks. That's for tomorrow. But they were not so nice to him. So I think most people assume that this is a person on the left, and maybe that's most likely. He did have enemies on the right, or kind of on the right, the fringy parts of the right. There are plenty of enemies, plenty of people who've made it their raison d'etre to ruin this guy's life and to go after him for years and years and years. So I suppose that's a possibility. And there's a third possibility. Because when you stop thinking about this purely ideologically and you start thinking about it more politically, meaning more from the significance of the person relative to power structures in the country, Charlie was really big, physically giant, but really, really big. Part of the reason I think that this feels so politically significant is we're thinking about him as, a nice kid who would give speeches and have debates. This is one of the most influential and important political figures in the entire country. I've said, I might have said it with Charlie actually somewhat recently, that the guy ran the Republican Party, ran the American right. Anyways, other than Trump, he was one of the big guys. And so there is a question of whether or not it was not just some lunatic. Most likely on the left. I guess it could have been someone on the right. But then maybe this was a more targeted assassination of someone who wielded immense political power in the country, immense cultural influence, who had the ear of the President of the United States for a decade, who's a big guy, and who would have been president. Those are the options. I'm not going to speculate. Which is why I'm not even inveighing today against the left or this or that. And it's just his enemies. Some enemy of Charlie's got him. And that's significant enough. My friend Gaston Mooney, president of Blaze, texted me yesterday. He had a suggestion that Charlie should lie in honor at the U.S. Capitol. He tagged Mike Johnson. I think this would be fitting in many ways. Charlie was as thoroughly patriotic as any figure in American life. He wasn't just another one, another talker, another organizer, another, he did something sui generis. He did something unique. And I think it would be fitting if that is the wishes of his family, who should, be considered first in all of this. And I think it would be very fitting. Because some people, especially those who didn't follow Charlie too closely, they might recoil at that and say, no, what are you talking about? He wasn't a governor, he wasn't a senator, he wasn't a president, why would he? Yeah, he was more important than most of those people, and other than the President of the United States himself, he probably had more influence than any of those types of offices. I think it would be fitting. I think it's a really, really good idea. Again, I've really tried not to bother, his family and really closest friends just yet. But if they think it's the right thing to do, I think it'd be a beautiful thing. Now, as to the reaction that I mentioned, to show you the significance of this politically, the President of the United States gave a somewhat lengthy Oval Office address to speak to the nation about Charlie's murder.
To my great fellow Americans, I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah. Charlie inspired millions, and tonight all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate and the country that he loved so much, the United States of America. He fought for liberty, democracy, justice, and the American people. He's a martyr for truth and freedom, and there's never been anyone who was so respected by youth. Charlie was also a man of deep, deep faith, and we take comfort in the knowledge that he is now at peace with God in heaven. Our prayers are with his wife, Erica, the two young, beloved children, and his entire family who he loved more than anything in the world. We ask God to watch over them in this terrible hour of heartache and pain. This is a dark moment for America. Charlie Kirk traveled the nation, joyfully engaging with everyone interested in good.
Blue Jays came back in the 9th inning to win it. They were losing 4-1. They've come back 44 times now. Last time they did that?
This year?
This year. Last time they did that was 93 World Series champions.
Good faith debate. His mission was to bring young people into the political process, which he did better than anybody ever. To share his love of country and to spread the simple words of common sense. On campuses nationwide, he championed his ideas with courage, logic, humor, and grace. It's a long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year, in the most hateful and despicable way possible. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as those who go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country. From the attack on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, which killed a husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York, to the shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and 3 others. Radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives. Tonight I ask all Americans to commit themselves to the American values for which Charlie Kirk lived and died. The values of free speech, citizenship, the rule of law, and the patriotic devotion and love of God. Charlie was the best of America, and the monster who attacked him was attacking our whole country. An assassin tried to silence him with a bullet, but he failed, because together we will ensure that his voice, his message, and his legacy will live on for countless generations to come. Today, because of this heinous act, Charlie's voice has become bigger and grander than ever before, and it's not even close. May God bless his memory, may God watch over his family, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
we've now got an update. Since that time, President Trump will award Charlie the Presidential Medal.
Dude, how the fuck am I
Freedom.
supposed to
He
know where
announced
this
when he was
is?
speaking
Oh,
at the Pentagon
I'm on the map.
9/11 ceremony. Absolutely
Whoa.
fitting honor. He deserved it before he was assassinated. He deserved it. He deserved it for years. When Trump says, you know, Charlie's mission was to bring young people into the political process, and he did it better than anyone ever. That might not have a hint of exaggeration to it. Pericles, did he? I don't know. He didn't focus exactly on. I mean, Charlie brought so many young people into the political process, to the right side of the political process, in the strongest country in the history of the world. So much so that his side won the popular vote for the first time in 2 decades when Charlie was put in charge of it. Okay, so that's from President Trump. He posted much the same, a truncated version of that on Truth Social. His wife Melania had a really beautiful post. I don't have it here in front of me, but she said, you know, she gave a very feminine take on it, a very motherly side of it, which is, you know, Charlie's kids now are going to grow up with stories rather than memories.
All right, I'll be back.
They can't get that. 20 yards makes it comfortable. And you've got the Blue Jays that will benefit from that. Put together just another huge win and win another series. Yeah, I gotta say, I genuinely wonder if Cowser just thought there's no way I'm getting that ball to the plate with Loperfido or just with the distance. Maybe he thought he could relay it in. Anyways, that's just unusual, right? You just generally don't see that really ever, but especially with the bases loaded in the bottom of that inning for the home team. And for good reason. The Brewers should go home in that situation. Yeah. Anyways, it's an interesting ending to the game, but the Blue Jays will absolutely take it. I feel like we have to start with Alejandro Kirk. No, I mean, Kirk is the guy. He wasn't in the lineup to start this game. I mean, you and I talked a lot on the pregame show about the Blue Jays batting order, the starting lineup, when we talked about Addison Barger, who we can talk about certainly today.
Oh!
Top of the order, guys who were in the lineup, Son, Sol, George, and Vladdy, and so on. We'll get to all of those guys, but Kirk, I've said this a million
Holy shizer! Doug, you there?
And they're going to grow up with photographs rather than a father who bounces on his knee. think for a lot of people, even more than the political significance, which is so great that it merited an Oval Office address, a Presidential Medal of Freedom, and declarations from all of the other presidents, which we'll get to in a second. Somehow, even we're talking about the height of political significance in the world, heads of government around the world. And yet, Melania's observation is even worse. That's where your heart really breaks, is for his wife and especially for his kids. That someone murdered those kids' dad because he wanted to have an open debate about mainstream ideas. They took their dad away for that because they didn't want him to debate ideas that virtually everyone agreed with like 20 years ago. Because Charlie wasn't some fringe guy by any stretch of the imagination. He was the most mainstream conservative and in many ways the most mainstream young political figure in the whole country. President Bill Clinton said, "I'm saddened and angered by Charlie Kirk's murder, and I hope we all go through some serious introspection and redouble our efforts to engage in debate passionately, yet peacefully. Hillary and I are keeping Erica, their 2 young children, and their family in our prayers." My statement. Barack Obama, "We don't yet know what motivated the person who shot and killed Charlie Kirk, but this kind of despicable violence has no place in our democracy. Michelle and I will be praying for Charlie's family tonight, and especially his wife Erica and their 2 young children." It's good that he put out a statement. Don't think we needed the preface before he expressed his statement. We don't yet know. Just want to point out, we don't yet know. We don't yet know. Hey, hold on, don't. Whatever. Kamala Harris put out a statement. "I'm deeply disturbed by the shooting in Utah. Doug and I send our prayers to Charlie Kirk and his family. Let me be clear, political violence has no place in America. I condemn this act, and we must all work together to ensure that this does not lead to more violence." That's good to hear from them. We're hearing different things from other mainstream elite people on the, not just the fringe, but the mainstream elite people on the left, which we'll get to tomorrow. I don't have it here for some reason, but Joe Biden issued a statement as well. So you have every living president. Here we are. Here's Joe Biden. "There's no place in our country for this kind of violence. It must end now. Jill and I are praying for Charlie Kirk's family and loved ones." This was relatively early yesterday when Biden released his statement, when it was still a little bit unclear. Oh, George W. Bush. I don't have his speech back here either. George Bush said today a young man was murdered in cold blood while expressing his political views. It happened on a college campus where the open exchange of opposing ideas should be sacrosanct. Violence and vitriol must be purged from the public square. Members of other political parties are not our enemies, they are our fellow citizens. May God bless Charlie Kirk and his family, and may God guide America towards civility. One can look at all of these statements pouring, and there will be others, not just from around America, but from around the world, and say, wow, what an honor, what a tribute to this guy's life. Obviously, this guy really mattered. This guy was really significant. 31 years, and he mattered more to the political world, to society, than, I don't know, however many people in however many lifetimes. And yet, that's little consolation, isn't it, to his family and to his friends and even to his many admirers. And this gets to a truth that Charlie really got. And it's kind of funny that Charlie got it. It seems almost paradoxical because he was at the very heights of politics. The very, very heights of politics. Other than sitting behind the Resolute desk himself, which I think most people thought he would do someday. He was at the very, very height of politics. And yet, he paradoxically understood how little all of that ultimately matters. It matters a lot in a contingent way in our life here to allow people to flourish and to point them toward the good and to conduce to their natural happiness. He got all that. And that's really important. I'm not saying politics doesn't matter. But ultimately, he saw that's not what. And we're seeing this now. All the statements in the world, all the heartfelt statements from all of the presidents, I strongly suspect are not going to alleviate Charlie's family suffering one iota, or his friends, or his admirers. It doesn't. There's got to be something deeper that will ground your activity in the world, that will direct your energies and direct your purposes, and will ultimately console you. And that's, well, there's three theological virtues I talked about earlier: point to faith, hope, and charity. That's religion. It's knowing that the point of life in the old Baltimore Catechism is to know God, to love Him, to serve Him in this world, and to enjoy Him forever in eternity. That's really what we're after. And I know Charlie believed that. And I know that is a real consolation. And they say that all the way to heaven is heaven. You could see that bear fruit in his life. And that, knowing that that's what he thought and that's how he believed, is a great consolation to me. The rest of the show continues now. We will see you all in a member block.
Shoe brands have been lying. You wanna know why? Nobody believed me at first, but now everyone wants it.
Doing Adipole surveys and games pays off, literally. Learn more about how you can earn a little extra with Adipole.
Hey, black people are dying on the streets in record numbers from cops. But logic part of your brain, the opposite of your lizard brain, says, oh no, wait, we have multiple studies that show that's not true. So we're going to be talking about that quite a bit today. Yesterday, obviously, I shot from the hip, as it were, and I'm going to do it more today. Got a reaction from quite a few people, and I just want to read you one. And I want you to let me know where you line up on this, because I think this is precisely what is wrong with our situation. Abigail Schreier, and I have no ill will toward you. I just think that your presentation is dumb, and I think that your point of view is why we are where we are. So Abigail Schreier responded yesterday to my video, and it was just emblematic of a lot of people, starting Irina Zarutska. Say her name, right? Say her name. And my comparison to George Floyd therein. She responded with, I'm sickened and heartbroken by the murder of Irina Zarutska by a felon with 14 priors, but addressing, quote, white America, stirring race rage is discrediting. It destroyed the left and will destroy the right. Imbecilic rage monsters do not help America. They only help themselves. Rage monsters, because white people go out and burn down cities. They only help themselves. Hey, let me ask you this. Who was that who said before this happened that we should be hard on crime? Who was it who told people that this is exactly where we're going to lead? Who was it who 6, 7, 3, 1 year ago said you're going to end up with Dirty Harrys, you're going to end up with Paul Kersey's, Charles Bronson, Death Wish. You're going to end up with that if you demand that people deny what is right in front of their faces. Who was the one who said that judges should be disbarred? That we need good Samaritan not laws, incentives in this country. And that Black Lives Matter, predicated on a lie, is going to lead us exactly to where we are. They only help themselves. I see a lot of criticism from people out there, and I'm not talking about myself personally. I see a lot of criticism of, oh, the judge, or oh, the system, or oh, mental health, of course, if you're a mindless leftist. I don't see a lot of solutions in prescription. And I will tell you this, not just myself, it's pretty tough to be first, and it's pretty tough to actually stake your claim, to actually put your reputation on the line and offer solutions, especially when you have a pretty direct line to people who could implement it. So I don't know about just helping ourselves, but I do understand the comparison to George Floyd, people being upset about this. Comparison of Zarutska to George Floyd. I hope that I was clear in marking the differences between George Floyd and Zarutska, namely that she chose to get an name He chose to commit armed robbery, George Floyd. He chose to live a life violently. He chose to enslave himself to drugs. He chose to rob a woman at gunpoint with a toddler in the house. But you know, it's a comparison. Okay, well today we'll make a different one. George Floyd to DeCarlos Brown Jr. Let me let you guys in on a little secret. George Floyd is alive today. You're a betting man. Think he pulls a DeCarlos Brown Jr.? Maybe it's not 14. I believe the arrest of George Floyd, I'm going by rote, the low end is 9. And the rap sheets are strikingly similar. And LeBron James wants you to believe he's an angel. Well, we saw how those angels lived their lives, and we saw for a long time throughout society, and then very sharply this week, how it ends. George Floyd was the same angel of death that DeCarlos Brown Jr. is. And only one portion of this country is living under that specter. And yeah, race has something to do with it. Not all. On with the show. But today was really important to do that because truth is what matters. Truth is what matters, and we have not been crafting our solutions, our policies based on truth. Not just outrage, not offense, not DEI, not identity politics, truth. And so I want you all to remember today as we discuss this, and you see some of the clips that we will show you, watch it and immediately think that's correct or that's not true. That's not true. Black people are more at risk than white. That's not true. Black people kill white people at 12 times the rate. A white person is 12 times more likely to be killed by a black person than the other way around. Black people are no more likely to be shot by the police than white people. Harvard, the man conducting it, was a black man. Conducted that study. He got in so much trouble that they tried to drum him out of the court. He said, wait, I'll conduct it again. Same result. But we based our policies on a lie. And Abigail Schreier, I hope I've been as respectful as possible, aside from saying that your tweet, your post was dumb, you are welcome to come on the program and discuss it. And same thing, I know I have an invite from Pierce Morgan and Mark Lamont Hill. But hey, you guys said that you would come on this show, and you censored the last time I used the N-word in context, and I make no apologies. Once you do that, we'll consider it. I know what I think, I say it here, and you guys can come here into, I don't want to say enemy territory, because to be respectful, but, you know, suck up. All right, Captain Morgan, CEO, how are you? Good, how are you? Good, you know, not a lot of sleep, and I think that if anyone feels good, last time it was this much of a drain here, it was David Dorn. Yeah. And we've had, obviously, worse incidents overall as far as what affects us, but as far as the humanity having a soul, it takes a little piece of you every time.
It does, and it's an inflection point right now. I think it's taken a lot of people and just taking a piece of it.
Yeah.
It's not just us, because we look at this every single day. It's tons of people.
Also, I should let you know, I may miss a show tomorrow or Friday because I said to my team, hey, get me in one of those barber shops. Let's do black and white and the gray issues. Let's go. I hope I find people who agree. You don't want echo chambers? Great. You might have me back in a body bag, but hey, it's kind of a joke, but it's a joke based on truth, so you know what could happen. And Josh Firestein, he's going to be in Austin at Cap City Comedy Club September 26th and 27th. How are you?
I'm alright. Yeah, I'll be doing stand-up comedy. It'll be fun.
We can
Don't take the train on the way there.
No, I don't recommend.
Drive yourself.
I don't recommend taking the train at all. And it's not funny, too. That's a matter of leftist policy. They want us all on mass transit as often as possible. Look at the policies. We want to make it hard for you to drive an SUV. Look at the policies. We want to make it more expensive for you to have gasoline. Look at the policies. We want to spend more money on infrastructure. so that we can have mass public transit. They want you all in big cities. They want you all as huddled masses on mass public transit, shuffling into your public schooling and government jobs. Could you craft it any worse? Maybe. I don't know. All right, before that, just as a little bit of a palate cleanse, this one's just fun.
You have to be able to laugh a little bit.
Yeah. And sorry, this is going to be a sucker punch because I told you we're going to find it. It's just going to make you probably a little bit upset. By the way, there's nothing wrong with rage. There's nothing wrong with rage. We're not talking about outrage. Rage. There's nothing wrong with rage.
Isn't that the virus from 28 days later?
I don't remember if it was the 28 or the weeks or the months or years.
You're affected with rage.
Yeah. I think it was like one was the rage virus, the other one was ill-tempered.
Okay.
They just kept downscaling it like
28 years later, it's just annoyed.
Yes. He has the groggy virus. What happened? They're coming!
He never got enough sleep.
I feel that way right now. Sometimes you feel like you live in this weird, bizarre world because for bodily autonomy, your body, your choice, right? That's what the left says, but they only apply that when it relates to another body that happens to be in your body. It's a location thing. I don't know if you know this, but pretty much no human beings, are a rare exception, if you go up next to a radiation plant, have 20 fingers, have 20 toes, have 2 vaginas, have 4 breasts, have 2 brains. But that's part of your body, your choice. I'm going to tell you very, very clearly, the way I have shifted the most, where have I changed my mind? I used to say, don't attribute to malice what you can simply chalk up to ignorance. That's an old saying. This is malice. We are living the consequences of malice. Do you believe that the left, when they say, this is about the government staying out of our lives? As Americans, we don't believe that the government should determine what we do with our own bodies. Kill a baby. I don't believe it. I believe that comment. Because this is how you know the left has no value. A value, or a character trait, is indifferent to circumstance. It's indifferent to feeling. That's what makes it a value. If you're disciplined, for example, that's an important value. It is indifferent to being tired. It is indifferent to having a tough day. It is indifferent to the weather. If you're sore, if one of your fundamental values is bodily autonomy, well, maybe you could explain to me why it only applies when aborting a baby and not to a mandated vaccine, meaning someone else forcefully injecting, effectively, your very own adult body. So for those of you who haven't been following this, the Florida Surgeon General, I believe it's Joseph Ladapo. Oh, look, I think... No, it's not. Come on. You'll see why I made the confusion, because you'll see the clip and it looks just like CNN right now. So for those of you who missed it, Jake Tapper and obviously Mr. Cuomo, Fredo was interviewing him before. We talked about how, hey, we're not going to do the mandate. We want to be really clear about that. Then I'll get to the reaction from the values.
What we said was that if you want them, God bless you, you can have as many as you want. And if you don't want them, parents should have the ability and the power to decide what goes into their children's bodies. It's that simple. You have sovereignty over your body. And that's where it starts. And you should be able to decide what you put in your body. I mean, if you can't decide what you put in your body, I mean, what do you actually, what can you decide?
Yeah. Now, some of you would say, well, he's inconsistent, or conservatives are inconsistent because you don't apply that to abortion. It's the only time we don't. You guys, I think it's remarkably consistent, but we apply it across the board until it comes to murder, or one other instance, for example, like soda on Snap. The left will think, hey, I caught you. They have the right to drink, to eat, whatever they want. They should be able to get Coca-Cola. Sure, you do. Not when I'm paying for it. That has nothing to do with your bodily autonomy. That has everything to do with paying bills. So, that right there, you watch it, you probably have no problem with it. I want to see if you can spot the disconnect between the values that the left espouses considering their outrage over the idea of people being free to choose a vaccine. Here's a side-by-side.
Abortion rights are human rights. This is not out of the norm for La DAPO, the Florida Surgeon General, to do things that have no grounding in evidence or in the principles of public health.
It is my intention for the Senate to hold a vote on legislation to codify the right to an abortion in law.
Well, this is sort of like a Great Barrington Declaration for all infectious diseases. It's not a very good idea. And I fear for the education of children in Florida now who may miss a lot of time for school because they're not going to be protected by their public health office.
Because codifying Roe v. Wade into law is essentially about protecting the freedoms for individuals to make their own private decisions about their health care.
Diseases don't care about state borders, so it's not going to stay in Florida.
Amid this assault on freedoms, Democrats are putting people over politics. We're ferociously defending the right to make decisions about women's health, their bodies, their lives, proudly voting to make Roe v. Wade the law of the land.
And at the same time, the rates of vaccine exemptions have gone up by about a point since 2019. None of this is by accident. None of this is by osmosis. And now this in Florida.
Reckless, if I could sum it up in one word. One does not have to abandon their faith, right? Their faith or their deeply held beliefs. To agree, the government should not be telling that woman what to do with her body.
Well, how deeply held can it be if you believe the government should be able to force you to take an experimental injection? Or more emblematic of the system. Most important right now, guys, to make sure you don't get mad. For the remainder of today, in those 14 seconds, I didn't want to speak, especially if you're white. They gave exclusively to